I salute you all, and I salute those who have spoken before me. And before I begin, I want to acknowledge, remembering to remember is msemo wa msanii anaitwa Gishu. So we are all remembering to remember after that quote by that msanii. We are gathered here today in this venue which has a historic significance. This is the venue where the National Accord was negotiated. And the National Accord helped us to return to the path of reconciliation and unity as a country after the 2007 post-election violence. It is the National Accord, basically negotiated at this venue, that facilitated the negotiation and passage of the 2010 Constitution, a constitution through which Kenyans expressed their need for transformation and gave the Constitution as a roadmap for that transformation. Unfortunately, the leadership has failed to faithfully implement the Constitution and actualize the aspirations of Kenyans as captured in the 2010 Constitution. Our Constitution, as we stand here, is under serious threat. It is under threat of being vandalized, cannibalized, destroyed before its full implementation and before Kenyans are able to benefit from it. This is a constitution which gives us, we the people, the power. It makes us the repository of all state power. It is we the people who donate the power to the three arms of government. It is we the people who donate power to all state corporations, to all state organs, and to all state officers. And it is we the people who can withdraw our donated power when it is abused or not implemented in accordance with the Constitution, which is the social contract between we the people and the people in leadership. This Constitution has given us the mandate as a people, each one of us individually, to uphold and defend it. And we must remember that we are the holders of the ultimate power. We therefore have the power and also the numbers, because those in leadership, both political and top positions of the government, are a minority. We, the people, are the majority. So we have the power and numbers to uphold and defend the Constitution in our own interest, in the interest of the majority. And this is a very important fact to remember, because when those in positions of power, the donnees of our power, when they thunder, we shudder and forget that we are the majority and we have the power to put things in order. And this has been said by those who spoke. Destroyed systematically through blatant failure to implement, erosion of the spirit of key provisions of the Constitution, as well as total disregard and contempt, even where the courts have provided clarity and direction. I need not go to examples, you know. The problem is not the Constitution. The problem is lack of implementation and a lack of constitutionalism among those charged with the responsibility of implementing it. Kenyans must reject BBI proposals in total because they represent the intentional misdiagnosis of what our problems are. Lack of and deliberate withholding of information concerning BBI constitutional amendments is one of the things that we are facing today. Clearly, they do not want us to understand. They do not want a majority to know. They want to stand like preachers in a pulpit, telling us what it contains. The preachers are better because they always tell us to refer to the good book, but BBI is not available. The current bill is actually not available online. I've been searching, I've not been able to get it. It's a preserve of a select few. So we do not know what poison it has been laced with. I actually compare BBI to a glass of milk with honey, but also with a good pinch of very potent poison. It will still kill you. It may taste good, but it will kill you. So we are saying the Constitution gives us the power to participate in all matters that concern us, especially on legislation. We need full information, not partial information. How on earth can we be asked to support something we do not know? It's a blindfold. What is it that we are supporting? Is it enough for leaders to tell us that it is good? I am not talking of only those of us in this room or those who are like us. I am talking about every Kenyan from all walks of life. These proposals must be available. That they have not been availed is a confirmation. They have nothing for you, only something for the leadership. BBI presents the priorities of politicians, while the Constitution of Kenya has the priorities of Kenyans. And that is why every Kenyan must stand up to uphold and defend the Constitution. Our dreams, our aspirations, which have been put on standstill in the last 8 years. For instance, Article 43, which has been well articulated by Wanjiko on this stage and by those who spoke before me. It is quite clear that every Kenyan must have access to quality health care. Every Kenyan child must have access to quality education. No Kenyan should sleep without shelter merely because they are not in a position to provide themselves shelter. No Kenyan should sleep hungry. Wanjiko should not have to boil stones to pacify the children to sleep. Our commonwealth, which is our taxation, is what should be used to provide social support to the vulnerable. And we acknowledge that some social support is being provided to people above 70, but only to some people. They registered people initially and then ceased to register. Those who have become 70 after in the previous 3 years have not been registered. They give money to some orphans, not all orphans. They give money to some of those living with severe disabilities, not to all the vulnerable. Our priorities as Kenyans is to lift each other up, is to ensure that no Kenyan sleeps hungry without shelter, no child is out of school or has to study under trees when other children are under classrooms. Those are the Kenyan priorities, but for the leaders, the priorities are to expand the top leadership. The priorities of Kenyans are already captured in the Constitution. They just need implementation. But the priorities of the leadership are not part of our aspirations. So the Constitution has not provided for the expansion of the executive. They lie to us. BBI contains what we need. It actually contains what they need. They cannot expand the executive without a constitutional amendment. So they will lie to you what is in it for you, but what is in it for them, and they are quite happy about it, is expanding the executive from 2 to 5 top positions. The current 2 are the president and the deputy. The additional 3 will be the prime minister, 2 deputies. How will that change your life? How will it become more inclusive? We are a nation of over 44 ethnic groups. How does giving 5 ethnic groups, even if they be the largest, become more inclusive? What we need is good governance, is accountable leadership, so that it will not matter to us who occupies the house on the hill. It will not matter to you the ethnic group of the person you find in office, because they'll be serving your needs. So let us wake up and say, these are not our priorities. You are abusing the powers we donated to you, and we are now recalling that power, because we have the power and authority, and we are the majority. The leaders are the minorities. Our constitution seeks to remove the parasitic model of politics, where the politicians and the top cream of the civil service live off our sweat. In spite of their hefty salaries and allowances, they also abuse state resources for their own benefit. That's why at Sagana State Lodge, leaders could be called to be given handouts when our health workers are still on the streets demanding for their salaries and emoluments, and demanding to be facilitated, enabled to give us quality health care. That is why money can be dished to elected leaders when our children are learning under trees. This is abuse of state power and a great demonstration of the parasitic model. It is time we implemented our constitution faithfully, so that the tenant on Statehouse Avenue, on that house on the hill, pays rent for staying in that house on the hill, much the way the American president pays rent to be in White House. After all, you have a salary. You should not be a parasite on our backs. The same for every top state officer. We do not need a parasitic model, and our constitution gives us a roadmap to rid off our backs parasites. Wakenya hawataki kupe, kila mtu afanye kazi, akule jasho lake. And yes, we are aware that there are some state functions that may require use of public funds, but strictly state functions, not functions at the whim of an individual trying to resist implementing the constitution and trying to resist term limit. I'm calling upon all county assemblies, because the bill is now in the county assemblies. Kindly, do not be like Judas. Do not betray Kenyans for 30 pieces of silver. If the 30 pieces of silver have come your way, remember it's our taxes. Therefore, continue to uphold the will of the majority. I have been around this country this year doing various things, and the mood on the ground, people are not in tune with BBI. So amassing leaders to show us a force of 3,000, 4,000, we are 50 million, come on. Showing us 5 million signatures. It may worry people, but come on, Kenyans, we are still the majority. The 45 million have not spoken. So today we are just reminding us, we have the authority and power to say no to cannibalization of the Constitution, to the continuation of a parasitic model. The parasitic model refuses to even implement Article 210, which says no Kenyan shall be exempted from paying taxes. Parliament has never implemented the payment of taxes. People are still being exempted and given grants, free grants for cars. The Constitution forbids it because that is discriminatory. You can have a car loan but not a car grant. The parasitic model is what is making leaders gather together to betray Kenyans. We must refuse this model and call for the implementation of the Constitution. And to the President, we are saying to him, you must not betray your oath of office. He may have already, but we are reminding him he must not continue to do so. You are a leader of the entire nation, not a regional kingpin. You must uphold the rights of all Kenyans, including those from Mount Kenya. You must free Kenyans to exercise their right to choose their next leaders. It is not part of the presidential duty to show us where to go. Kenyans are mature, they are well informed, and they will be able to give themselves guidance when the time comes. Let them have space for now to choose their priorities. And their priorities, I bet, are not increasing the number of top seats and enlarging Parliament. And there are ways of implementing the Constitution without flipping the priorities of Kenyans upside down. I want to end by saying, together we can and must reclaim our power and authority to uphold and defend the Constitution, to linda Katiba. We must reject BBI and the cannibalization of our dreams, collective dreams as Kenyans, embodied in the Constitution. Wakenya tulinde Katiba. Asanteni.